So, I've finally seen a gameplay of Little Nightmares 2 and I really liked it. I wasn't expecting anything lesser from Tarsier Studios though. I loved both Little Nightmares 1 and the DLC, The Depths. I actually played those two games on my own, but unfortunately I couldn't do the same with this one because of monetary reasons. I was really looking forward to playing it, but I couldn't resist anymore. And the money isn't going to arrive in a long time, so no first person gameplay. However, I still know how these games feel like because I've played the older ones. The gameplay of Little Nightmares 2 does not differ greatly from Little Nightmares 1 or from the DLC. The striking difference is the change of location. We go from the mall, which I really loved as a setting, it was so well thought out, both with the sound design and the waving of the screen that suggested you were on a boat from the very beginning, to land. The story starts with Mono and Six escaping from the hunter, then going through a very strict school, through a crusty hospital, and in the end visiting the Pale City. The locations themselves are something I adore in this game, the school and the hospital in particular. School can be one of the best and the worst places for a kid, and I love how the fears kids have are always portrayed so well in Little Nightmares. The fear of bullying, of your peers, of a strict teacher, and in the hospital, the fear of going to the doctor, the fear of surgery, the fear of a doctor manhandling you when you're sick and powerless to defend yourself, and most of all, the fear of death and the dead, fears that we still have as adults. I also think the hospital had big Silent Hill energy with all these mannequins chasing you made out of medical props. These locations are used to enhance the themes of the game, and it's something I really appreciate in every story, especially in a dark fairy tale. However, what I really want to delve into is, what does this game mean? This is just my humble opinion, and I've stayed away from other theories so that I could bring a point of view of the game that's not yet being conditioned by what other people think. So, I think this game mostly is about the nature of abuse, how adults abuse kids, and how those kids, after growing up, turn into abusers themselves, building a never ending cycle of pain. So, going on from here, there will be spoilers. Listen only if you're ready to discuss the plot of the game and important events that happen to the characters. Are we good? So, then we go on. Throughout the story, our new main protagonist, Mono, the story is told from his point of view, appears as a very kind character who, in spite of living in such a cruel world, has preserved his good nature. Whereas Six, whom he meets earlier in the game, is a lot more cynical due to what she has seen and done previously. Mono helps her in many situations, and eventually Six warms up to him. They collaborate very often. That is, until they arrive to the Pale City. The Pale City is the Thin Man's dominion, a gloomy, empty place where some kind of rupture seems to have happened. You can often see abandoned clothes around. There, people are obsessed with TV and watch it all day. Like all the adults in Little Nightmares, they appear as giant monsters compared to the kids, which I think reflects how kids see adults, especially if they have been abused or treated harshly by them. I think that the adults always watching TV is a metaphor for how adults often ignore children in need because they are distracted by TV or by whatever other medium or element in their lives. When even the normal people don't help, to whom is a child supposed to go to? However, TV here also has another meaning. Throughout the game, we witness that Mono has some kind of power, just like Six. He can access a world inside the TV or teleport from place to place, thanks to it. He can also see tiny static figures that, when he touches, disappear. Are they memories, fragments of awareness of what he'll discover in the future? I'm not entirely sure about that. The important thing is that Mono, inside the static world, keeps seeing a door with an eye on it, a theme present in the other games as well, the eye. And when he finally opens the door, he unleashes the monster that we know as the Thin Man. The Thin Man's entrance reminds me a lot of The Ring. Maybe it's a visual reference. and also of Slenderman, who used to be an extremely popular character who gave life to web series such as Tribe 12, Marble Hornets, and many others. In those series, especially in Tribe 12, of which, even though the acting wasn't stellar, I loved the aesthetic. Like, there are these parts in black and white that are very, very cool. I love them. Slenderman was called the Operator, and he was kind of compared to a hacker of the mind. I think the Thin Man has similar powers. He manipulates reality and people through TV. He probably is the author of the dystopia we witness in this game, and he can also get out of the TV to physically drag people into his static world. Slenderman to a T, you could say. But at the same time, the Thin Man is a very interesting character because of a revelation we reach at the end of the game. That is to say, the Thin Man is no other than Mono himself, all grown up while stuck in the static world after Six's betrayal. So, here the idea of Little Nightmares being about a cycle of endless abuse comes into play. The Thin Man, without a doubt, is not a good person. After all, he kidnaps Six and tortures her, turning her into a monster, probably to take revenge on her. However, would he have become what he is now if Six hadn't betrayed Mono? Honestly, I don't think so. Before Mono goes to save Six, there is my favorite scene in the game, the showdown between Mono and the Thin Man. In the moment he decides to fight back, Mono gets rid of his hat or the bag over his head. To me, that gesture stands for him saying that he won't become like the Thin Man, whose main characteristic, besides being extremely tall, is his hat. This gesture is a refusal to keep the cycle of abuse going, and Mono ends up killing his future self. However, after Mono saves Six, who had turned into a monster herself, in the frantic escape from the an eldritch monster made of ice, the ice that we saw throughout all these games, Six lets him fall in the static world, abandoning him to a destiny of solitude. I wonder what that monster made of ice really is. Maybe a representation of abuse itself, of everything dark there is in our heart, who knows? And maybe Six's betrayal is kind of the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to Mono. The fact that Mono gets trapped inside this monster, to me, signifies that after this betrayal, he very much became like Six. From victim, he becomes perpetrator of abuse, which is just so, so sad. Man, these games. As for Six, many people hate her as a character now. I honestly don't. I think she's a deeply flawed character, but unfortunately, maybe because she wanted to prevent a dystopia from happening by killing Mono when he still was a kid, or maybe because she just wanted revenge, she lets Mono fall to his death and causes all this in the first place. The reasons for which Six did this can't really be all pinned down, but it sure is going to stick with me for a while, as Little Nightmares always does. All we can say after this game is that abuse, if you don't do something to take yourself out of that cycle, loves to keep repeating. Such a good game. This was my little take. If you have more ideas about Little Nightmares, you can share them in the comments. I love to discuss media as amazing as this. Have a good day, and I see you soon.